Okay. And the webcam is here. Okay. Now you can also see me.
Yeah.
Okay. And good morning, everybody. Thank you to the organizers and to Molyneux for the invitation. And I will stay in my time. And let me start with a very short introduction aimed to mention the perspective I bring to the table and to the discussion, because I think this is important that we all know what is the kind of perspective that we have in the field of big data, of course, and certification. I play in different fields. So first of all, I'm proudly and quite involved in the European effort to foster the IT professionalism. And I make this through standardization. I am a member of CENTESI 428, that is the committee, the technical committee of CEN on ICT professionalism and digital competencies. And I've been one of the authors of the IT role profile actual current version. And then I play, as Molyneux mentioned, in another field that is the market. And so I work with my company in the field of digital transformation. And I have to confess you that at the moment, these two fields are really different. So I'm going a little bit crazy because the two worlds are very separate. And I'm really interested in your approach, badge, what Nick presented, because you succeed somehow to make this distance shorter. Another a short promise. I would like to try to avoid the word importance, especially importance of big data, importance of certification. I'm not importance of competencies. I'm not talking about this. I guess you all know the game Taboo. Taboo is a word guessing game, and the objective of the game is for a player to have their partners to guess the word on the card, but without mentioning the word itself or other words. So I would like to try to avoid talking about the importance of this thing, because we are in the field, we are all in the field. So I would like to concentrate on standardization, certification, what there is now in Europe, what is the state of the art from my perspective. I would like to start from the very beginning with because it's useful for our discussion to see some very basic definition. It's not rocket science, but it's very important. So certification, if I go to the ISO website, I can easily find a old but still good definition of certification, and it's defined as the provision by an independent body, the provision of a written assurance that the product, service, or system meets specific requirements. And I underlined specific requirements, and I will tell you why in a moment. At the very beginning, professional certification seems to be not part of the game, but it's the future in my opinion, and a lot of research are saying this. So certification started in products, services, system, now is about competence. You spoke about the badges and other system to certify the possession of these competence by professionals. So I have another definition here, that is professional certification is the process by which a person proves that he or she has the knowledge, experience, and skills to perform a specific job and task. Specific job and tasks seems a little bit similar to specific requirements, while knowledge, experience, and skills is something that we can combine using the word competencies. So we have the first ingredients of our recipe, and is specific requirement, the word that I underlined. And in the field of certification, and also in big data related profession, the specific requirements are roles and competencies. If we do not understand what we need, we cannot have certification. So we need to start from what is needed from these professionals in data field, and then we can talk of all the other stuff. So you can understand that it's not a good idea, in my opinion, to start from tools or technologies. And sometimes this is exactly what vendor certifications do. So they start from a system, a technology, a very good tool, but I believe that it's important to start from what is needed. But what are the other ingredients of this recipe? Of course, they are training, assessment, and certification. So once you have the specific requirement in terms of roles and competence, what is needed in the data field, we can define the other elements. Of course, we can train people, and so we have training. We can then assess people, and of course, we have certification. For each one of these ingredients, as I call them, of the recipe, I would like to underline one or two key elements. So for the specific requirements, I think the key aspects are relevance and standardization. So relevance means that what we put in terms of role competence is really what is important, what is needed, what is required by the market. So relevance. The other one I will focus on this point is standardization. There are a lot of very good experience around the world, but they are not recognized each other, mutually recognized. So standardization is really a key element of defining the requirements in terms of roles and competencies. Let's move to training and assessment. Training, of course, the key aspect is effectiveness and needs to be in line of specific requirement. Assessment needs to be neutral, and certification needs the recognition. So the value of a certificate is in the recognition that the market give to this certificate. Why I am underlining this aspect? First of all, I already did. I want to underline the importance of standardization. Second, I would like to make some consideration on the state of the art in Europe. Question number one, where is the market now? Of course, the market is in the right part of this slide. So certification, actually assessment and certification, they always often go together, and training. There is the market. And what do we have in the left part, where we have specific requirement, relevance, standardization? We have project, as the project that Nick mentioned, and also we have some organization. And in Europe, we have SEN. SEN is the European Committee for Standardization. Is one of the 3 European standardization organizations that have been officially recognized by the European Union as being responsible for developing and defining voluntary standards at European level. SEN is working a lot in the fields of competence, IT competence, and also data competences. I am underlying this because it's really important to make a joint effort to be in order this work can be standardized and recognized. So when I see a lot of value in project, I really would like to combine the approach in order to have a broader recognition of the of experiences, relevant and valuable experiences like the one you mentioned. What is Europe doing in practice? In the last years, the SEN effort, the standardization of effort, were mainly on competencies, enroll at very high level, and exist these European ICT professional role profiles. There are in total 30 role profiles. 7 new profiles have been added. Between them, we have data scientists, data specialists that are focused on data. I will tell you something later on in a couple of minutes. Those are very high level, so they need really to be customized. They need to be to be more granular, and so it's important to continue investing on these with the experiences from other projects. So this is something that already exists. You can read in the slide the CWA stands for SEN Workshop Agreement. This is a standard. Maybe it's not perfect, I will show you, but this is something that is officially recognized in Europe. I want to show you now. Okay, I get an advice. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes, we do hear you.
Thank you. I want to show you now quickly, very quickly, the scheme of data scientists from the standard. You can see is one page, very high level, and we have a summary of the profession, a mission, and is defined here. So the mission of data scientists in the European vision is the data scientist finds, manages, and merges multiple data sources and ensures consistency of data sets, identifies, and I will not read everything. So this is just to show you the level of granularity is very high level. So the value is that it's standard, is recognized, can be improved, but so far this is for Europe is official, let me say. Of course, it's not enough to build a certification, to build training on this. So it's a very high level, and it's a level where the idea is that we should all agree on. After the statement and the mission, we have the main tasks. Those are created listening to a lot of stakeholders. And finally, we have the link to the main competencies of ECF. ECF is the European e-competency framework. You can see from these the title of this competence, then those are links to the competence. You have to go to the competence. I see some letters, and I assume this is similar to the model that you used, Nick, with the beds, where I saw other letters, but with the same scheme, I guess. So it's important that you can say that this is not really or not only an IT professional. So a lot of key competencies are outside the IT domain. So innovation, needs identification. So needs means that the data scientists need to be aware of the business. I see the time is running fast, so I have 2 more slides, one and another one, because I would like to share with you what is actually happening, what is happening in the context of SEN at the moment. SEN through TC428 worked a lot on the competence pillar. We have these 4 pillars of IT professionalism in Europe. So they are for all IT professionals, including data scientists and data experts. And at the moment, the focus is in education, training, and certification. 2 projects have been launched past year. They are still up and running, and they are relevant for this context. One is the e-competence performance indicator and common metrics. I have the privilege of being the team leader of both these projects. This project is the main is the development. The goal of the project is the development on a technical report. Technical report is something that is before a standard, expecting to analyze and designing how to recognize and assess that a candidate really has the e-competence that he declares to possess. So to build a methodology for assessment, let me say. And ICT curriculum guidelines for e-competence is a guideline. We are developing a guideline for university education providers to make the curriculum, the program, not in a self-referential way, but connecting this curriculum to the needs. So what? Last slide. 3 very quick consideration. First one, professional in the field of big data needs to be, in my opinion, more on the business side. So we know that the relationship between IT and business within organizations is one of the key elements for a successful digital transformation, and this is particularly true in the field of big data. So I see in the company, in the market, that when the big data or data scientists are too much IT and too few business experts, they usually have a problem. So this is one consideration that I put on the table. Second consideration, standardization is part of the game. The problem with standardization is that we proceed very slow, and that's not good for the market, but we really need to understand that standardization of competencies is important and is feasible. It's a future, in my opinion. And in order to be feasible, it's important to identify the right level of granularity. And last point, it's important to collaborate, because if we do not collaborate between projects, between different entities, we have a very important and recognized authority like SEN that is working at a high level, but then we have a lot of valuable experience and contents, and there is no contact point between these aspects. So that's why I'm really happy to be in contact with all of you, because I really would like to be part of making these this contact point between experiences and projects. Sorry, Mulule, I took some minutes more.
No, it is just on time because you started a bit late. Thank you, Rocco. Thank you for your interesting presentation. I'm sure questions will arise later on. Let me, before introducing the next speaker, who is Arthur Romero, let me just launch one quick poll. How do you want to get involved in the certification process? So if you may participate in it, so there are quite a number of endorsers and issuers, recipients, and so on. So that would be interesting also to know where to locate the participants. So 13% voted up until now. 100% recipient, so the recipient. So 0 issuer, 0 endorsers, 0 verifier. endorsers are coming in. So 19, a couple of seconds more to have more participants. 25% voted, and then I will share the results with you. I'd be very glad if at least 50 to 60% get the voting. Then I'll share with you the results and pass to the next topic. Now we are at 31. Please go on and vote. So the two parties that are the two answers that are 40-60 endorsers and recipients. So after 5 seconds, I will close the vote and share with you. So here I close and share the results. So that is what has happened. How do you want to get involved in the certification process? So endorsers and recipients will take part, the whole bunch. So our next speaker is Artur. Artur is a director of innovation and development at Dexis. He does take part of a number of activities and of European initiatives in relation to the to SMEs. So please, Artur, if Rocco has passed over to you as a presenter, if not, then we will do. So
I did.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So Artur, it is your turn. You may also, let's say, activate your, yeah, good. We don't hear you, Artur. Are you muted?
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mune, for the presentation, and thank you for inviting me here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the role of certification in the end of my presentation. Before that, I would like to emphasize on a perspective on data skills, because as one of my roles here is connected with the BDVA, with the Big Data Value Association, that Nick has already talked about what that is. I'm in particular working on the task force related to SMEs and startups, but that's not the scope of the work that of one of the works that I've been done in there, and that I would like to talk about here. We have been involved in the last 2 to 3 months in revising a strategic agenda for innovation, research and deployment in the fields of data, AI and robotics. But BDVA with other similar entities, but BDVA of course was focused on data. And one of the areas that we worked on were related to skills. So that work is not finished yet, it's not published yet, but I would like to share with you some preliminary conclusions and some reflections of my own. So don't take this as an official publication yet, because that's not done, but anyway, the timing is good for talking about it. So without
Artur, any problem?
No.
Okay.
I'm starting the base of the foundation of my presentation starts on the European strategy for data that all of you or most of you already know, and I'm quoting here two excerpts from the text. One of them is obvious for all of us, is that data is the center of the transformation that is going on for some time now, and will still go on for some time to come. And the highlights here are mine, but the main outcome here, the main takeaway from this text is that we are still on a shortage period of skills for expertise on data, for data experts, and at the same time on data literacy for the workforce, for the overall population, let's say. So I take on these two aspects here to talk a little bit about it. So first of all, the perspective here is that it is twofold. I mean, there are two aspects here that are very important to bear in mind. One of them is that data experts, we have, of course, data experts, but we need to ensure that all of them or most of them are capable of putting data to good use. This means that it's not enough to be an expert, to be a very skilled scientist or technician and understand data. It has to be put to good use to the society. On the other hand, for the non-experts that are also using data, or at least using outcomes from data, they must make good use of it. They must know how to, or they must be prepared, or we must thrive to prepare them to make good use of data. So with these two pillars, let's call it that way. I don't know what's happening here.
There is some voice.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Moving on. We, and by we I mean all the people in BDVA and all the stakeholders that have been involved in this exercise, have identified a few challenges. There are more than the ones that I'm showing here, but I brought in those that were more related to skills and more important regarding that area. One thing is to be an expert. One thing is to be very knowledgeable in some social or business domain. But we need the combination of these two competencies, so that again, as I said before, data scientists, they need to understand business. We need them to understand business and how to use data on business. In other words, how to use data to solve real-world problems rather than just solve very interesting and challenging scientific problems. And another aspect to this is that because, at least from my experience, many data experts run away from these issues like governance and ethics and best practices and compliance to in this case, especially privacy issues. We need data experts to be aware and use these concepts in their work. Another challenge that is going on right now and is expected to be more important in the future is well, beyond the obvious skills on mathematics and statistics and algorithms and all that, we need operational skills as well, because data volume is growing. I'm not going into that because everyone knows it. Data volume is growing, and the needs for skills to data processing and to tackle issues like reliability, interoperability, and security, to name just a few, are also growing. So here we are talking about practices like, let's call it that way, DevOps or DataOps, even MLOps, machine learning operations. So we need to take care of those kind of skills, and not only the nice part of data science, which has to do exactly with science. Another challenge, or at least something that has been identified as something that we need to also take very good care of, is openness. I mean, fostering openness in terms of data or open software or open access to knowledge as well. This is very important because this is still viewed as a very specialized and niche area of knowledge, and we need to open. We need to, if you want to bring in more people to the data ecosystem. We need to be very open, but at the same time, we need to take care of guaranteeing that the European values are always regarded. I mentioned here 3 of them that were identified as being very important here is the balance of genders, the balance of age, and the balance of sectors. Not to leave out any economical sector from this. Of course, the stakeholders are, as expected, education and research bodies, but also the businesses, large and small, and governments as well, or I would say especially governments in this case. Having this in mind, and before we have identified challenges, of course we need actions to tackle those challenges. But having this in mind, let's first take a look of what I called it, because I came up with this name. I'm not sure it's the best one, but I call this data demographics. So this is very much summarizes the kind of players that I've been talking about in the last few minutes. We have data experts, we have non-experts on data, and this, for simplicity, these 2 sets are disjoint. They don't have any intersection in there, but in both sides there are domain experts. There are data experts that are also domain experts in some domain. I'm not mentioning any specific domain here. And of course, on the other side of the non-data experts, there are all also domain experts. So what you're talking about here, and what is being identified as a need in the data strategy that I mentioned in my first slide, is that we need to enlarge these demographics. So we need to upskill the data population, let's call it like that. So and come up with something like this. This is more or less the double area. The areas here of the squares are double from the previous slide. Just to mention that we have to grow both communities, and this doesn't mean that we have necessarily to transform non-experts into experts. That's, if that happens, good, but that doesn't have to be the final goal here. We just need to have more data experts and more data users, that even if they are non-experts. On the other hand, we need to have, we will all benefit from having more domain experts, particularly in the data expert side of the demographic here, for reasons that I've already mentioned, and I've seen that Rocco in his presentation also mentioned that data scientists need to be more business aware. So this is very simply the goal here. Actions. First of all, actions. Who should take these actions? In this case, in this particular case that I'm presenting here, these were the actions that BDVA and the other entities that were involved in this strategic gender revision identified for themselves. So this is actions for all of us, let's say. Let's put it that way. Of course, we need to come up with an action plan afterwards and identify who are the actors. But for now, let's just keep it simple. And what I'm going to say here is more or less obvious after what has been presented in the previous slides. But we need to foster business orientation on data specialists for sure, because they must understand what they are working for, and what is the value, the total value that should come from their work. On a special note here, because as I said in the beginning, my involvement in BDVA is on SMEs and startup. I'm fond of this one in particular, because we need to train, or at least to make SMEs and startups, especially those that are not data enabled or data driven. I'm talking about, I don't know, maybe 99% of SMEs and startups that are not data focused. We need to show them that they can get value from data. They can get more business, or at least improve their business from data. Regarding the non-specialists, we identified as promoting VET, or vocational education and training, as an enabler for skilling and reskilling and upskilling. There are three specific topics in there. Setting up enterprise training programs includes, this is important for all of us because we are all one way or the other involved in funded projects, including the projects in the plan, specific training for taking the value out of the data that is being generated or being somehow processed in the middle of these projects. And of course, the domain experts, let's put them in the data expert sites as well. Promote a Euro-wide data science skill strategy is more or less what we have been hearing the whole morning, especially by Nick and Molinay. We are talking about here in developing common frameworks for skills, not only development but also certification. That's the point here. So we should do this Euro-wide and not nation or enterprise-wide. Of course, we need to identify the major skills gaps and work on that. Also, one particular aspect of working on that is to let the academia or the educational bodies to collaborate with them in order to fill in those gaps and to complement the curricular education with what the market needs. So when people come out of the university is better prepared to be a data enabled, let's say. Last, I would say not least, but I won't pretend I'm an expert in matters with the European Commission, but there are a few initiatives in the under the European Commission umbrella that also need to be addressed and collaborate with them, and I've mentioned a few. I'm glad to see that I've learned a few others from Morocco when you mentioned the initiatives that are going on at SEM. So this is an effort that has to be coordinated not only by the civil, the private society, but also with the Commission. Finally, a few words about certification, because that's what brought us here. Certification, again, please bear in mind that I'm talking especially on data here, not digital certification in the digital spectrum as a whole. Of course, certification from a technical perspective is important, and here I'm talking about the supply side. I'm just finished. This is my last slide, I promise. On the supply side, of course, for solutions providers, for service providers, for providers, it's very important to be able to show off their expertise, because having a certificate in principle, it vouches for our expertise, for our ability to deliver quality in what we deliver to customers. It also should be able to vouch how seriously we tackle the issue of compliance with certain regulations and privacy and ethics. This is all important. And if possible, let's put it that way, the cherry on the cake, we can vouch for our domain knowledge as so if we are providing services to specific domains. On the domain side, this would also be important, and here I'm talking mainly on the non-expert users. But if they they can assure that their companies, their bosses, their users, they are able to understand the value of data, they take a good advantage of it, and they also comply with the same issues like the regulations and the privacy and sovereignty issues and the ethics. Of course, this would also be important. It's a different kind of certification, but my opinion is that it will also be important. If we, just to finish, if we look at the individuals, of course, certification improves their competitiveness in the market. And the first or second slide from Nick, I took note of it. It mentioned a few bullets that were very specific on this, so it's an obvious advantage here for individuals. And oh yeah, that's finishes by. Sorry, I talked a little bit fast in the end, but Bulune was giving me signs, and I have to finish. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. We have noted a couple of things that you have mentioned with Rocos, and I hope they will come back in the question and answer and discussion period. So the next speaker. Okay, thank you again. Our next speaker is Davide Brabieri. So okay, I hope Arthur has passed hand to Davide. So to introduce, Davide is there. Davide is a professor at the University of Ferrara and also at Form Industria Emilia Romagna in the field of data lab training. So the floor is for you, Davide. Do you hear me, Davide?
Yeah, here we go. Thank you, Mullen.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start my presentation. So, okay, I hope you can see it all. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let me quickly introduce myself. As Mullen said, I've been teaching data analysis for most of my adult life. I actually have a PhD in biomedical sciences, and I was teaching data analysis at the School of Medicine. But my previous background is in information technology, and I have a Master of Science in Computer Science and Software Engineering from the University of Oxford. But that was before I joined the University of Ferrara. I'm also the scientific director of the Big Data Lab, which is a project of the Emilia-Romagna region of the local administration. The Emilia-Romagna region is the area around Bologna. Okay, so it's a very large project involving a big consortium with many partners. The leading partner is actually Form Industria, which is the one I'm speaking on behalf of. But then there are a few more training institutions. Actually, Form Industria is the training institution of the local industrialist union, Confindustria Emilia-Romagna, which is also a partner of the project. But then there are other training institutions like ASSOFORM, CISITA, and also some local universities. Of course, the University of Bologna, which is here, bottom left, the University of Ferrara, the University of Modena, where I actually graduated, and the University of Parma. Further, there are some companies supporting and promoting the project. I think we should put the big data phenomenon within the context of the open data phenomenon, which is, I think, part of a more general effort of the local administration to improve and increase transparency and democracy. So even the Emilia-Romagna local regional administration has made available many open data sets for the citizens who can actually analyze them and verify what we're being told and delivered. The project is made of several modules, from the most foundational ones, with basic things about IT and statistics and mathematics, especially for non-mathematicians, let's say, and then some more specialized modules on social media, data journalism, machine learning, data privacy, you named. since I'm the scientific director, I had to build a curriculum. And I'm convinced that there are three pillars in big data and data science. At the very bottom, we have databases, and I think all students should have basic skills in this domain, because that's where we collect and store data. So without databases, we wouldn't even have the big data. But then at the top, we need to analyze them, and therefore we need skills and competencies in both statistics and machine learning. And I think that's where the difficult part comes. And I've tried, of course, to highlight the differences between statistics and machine learning. Of course, statistics is more focused on explanation, while machine learning is more focused on prediction. But I've also realized that it is very difficult to teach statistics to non-mathematicians or anyway, people without a background in either mathematics or computer science. I think I've come up with a sort of a workaround, because I tend to use especially basic logic to teach these subjects, minimizing the mathematical formalism. I think it has worked so far, and I will keep going that way. But I still think that let's say the ambition to teach statistics to non-mathematician can be overwhelming, and therefore we need to find a trade-off. So on the one side, we don't want to be a sort of a diploma mill. So you just go there and pay and you will get your diploma. But not even to, we don't even want to be on the opposite extreme. Because again, it would be impossible to teach hardcore science in a few months to non-scientists. So that's the real dilemma. Okay. We adopted an open badge certification framework. You can actually, I think I sent you my presentation, so you can actually click on this slide, and and the web page of the BASTR platform will open up, showing the certification that we award at the end of our courses. And I think these are the main problems I actually wanted to address and eventually discuss with you all. First of all, we should be setting some well predefined goals, which we haven't. Oh, let's say I have done that, but on a very personal basis. Of course, if you talk to an expert, let's say if we put together some experts, we could probably come up with some predefined common goals, but that's not being formally done, not yet at least. Once we've set the goals, we can certainly establish some guidelines and then some standards. I agree with the previous presenters, especially Rocco and Nick. We do have to set some standards to in order to evaluate and certify the skills that the students have acquired attending our courses. As an example, I can give you the European language schema, where you have 3 levels, if I remember correctly. A, B, C. A is the basic level, and then you have B, intermediate, and you have C, C1 and C2, which is advanced, or something like that. But there are certainly many issues here, and some of them have been addressed also by the previous presenters. But I think we need to discuss that further. For example, big data is a buzzword. Okay, it has absolutely no scientific meaning. In statistics, we always talk about large numbers, because they're needed in order to have robust statistics. But even the term data science is rather vague. I do agree on the fact that old-fashioned statisticians should probably evolve, and they're doing that actually. They're slightly changing the way they think about their job and the way they perform their job. At the same time, of course, IT people, and especially computer science scientists, they need statistical skills and knowledge if they want to analyze the data they've collected. At the same time, it is a well-known fact that there are differences between data scientists or people using data mining and statisticians, and some of them are very basic epistemic differences, which should be thoroughly addressed if we want to define a framework of common goals. There are even more issues, I think, in the field of data privacy and ethics. It has been said by many presenters, and also you can, by many experts, that data should be used for the good of society. The point is that each of us has a totally different idea of what the good of society is. And this is, I think, especially true if you talk to people who are used to living in a democratic country, where each person, each citizen is allowed to have their own opinion. So, for example, something which I honestly didn't like, I noticed that some of the teachers in this field tend to give the students their own idea on or opinion on what data ethics is, which is acceptable if before that you have explained that there are many other positions and many other opinions, and we haven't come up with a common one, and probably we never will, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because it's a matter of freedom. So on the scientific side, it's probably a bit easier to find some common goals and guidelines. There still remains very strong differences about the way we look at data in case we are statisticians or data scientists. So, and this is something we could address in the discussion. But yes, it would be great to have some standards. Some time ago, I read an article published by the American Statistical Association, underlying the importance of giving every citizen in a democratic country, at least the basics of statistics, and not just the citizens, but in particular to journalists who are citizens themselves. I keep reading things like the average salary, which is kind of weird, some like me, because I don't exactly know what it means to have an average in a very skewed distribution. So like that of salaries, for example. And I would like also to address the issue that was raised by Rocco previously about the fact that people who are trained in data science, if I understood correctly what he said, should be more on the business side, which is understandable. But again, my point is that even to be able to perform basic quantitative data, not qualitative, but because that's not science, quantitative data analysis requires an enormous amount of scientific and mathematical expertise. And if you don't have it, you're not doing science. So I think this is pretty much everything on my side. I hope I'll be able to discuss these things further with you all, and maybe come up with a few ideas for setting goals and guidelines and the 4 standards for the certification of big data skills. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you, Davide. So our next speaker will be Christine. Christine is a policy officer at the European Commission. I hope, Davide, you pass it over to Christine, and Christine will join us vocally, and Thomas will be able to pass in her slide. Do you
I
hear
don't
us?
see her yet.
Yes.
Yeah, I did the passing, so I have your presentation on the
Okay.
screen. I hope you can see it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. So thank you for passing me the floor and inviting me to present one of our initiatives in the Commission in DigiConnect, the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition. And as you said, it's a bit ironical. I'm going to talk about digital skills. And I was unfortunately not able to connect today also with the camera and the full webinar solution. But we find a solution that I could anyway present you the coalition. And you see in the title of my presentation, I think it gives an excellent resume of what the former presentations highlighted, the idea of the partnership and the need for reskilling and upskilling for the future. So I will directly go to the next slides, please. To present you what is the coalition. The idea is that we started since already 2016, given the urgency of the lack of digital skills. And I think we are talking today about the solutions, how to label, to get, to give a label to the best trainings, to get also the best professionals. But of course, we also need, to attract the people to take the trainings and to go for digital trainings. So since 2016, we have really a unique community that is working on reducing the digital skills gap in Europe. So the coalition, in fact, is indeed a collaboration, joint forces of all type of organizations that can, act for reducing the digital skills gap. So I think today, all of you are really welcome to become member of the coalition, because you really work in this sense. And the coalition is also a platform for exchanging the experiences and learning about what other organizations are doing in Europe. And I mention that also because we are now building up a European platform for digital skills and jobs that will be a hub for all resources on digital skills and jobs across Europe. So this hub will also link national coalitions and then, give really a sort of a window for trainings in Europe on different digital skills dimension. We can go to the next slides. So what are the activities of the coalition? So in fact, the coalition gather private companies, public authorities. We have seen with how important it is to have also the local level that is acting for digital skills with the former speaker from the region. We all know that when we talk about skilling and reskilling people and workers, especially, we need to do it at a local level. It's no way that people, are going to look on the side of Brussels for being trained or retrained, for example, being in employment. So that's why we have set up also national coalitions. So we replicate the European coalition, if you want, at national level. We have at the moment 25 on 27 member states. It's not bad. And we hope to have 2 more to complete the landscape. And we also have a community of 513 organizations at the moment, because every day we have more members. I will show you at the end where also you can become a member. And the activities of the coalition are focusing on 4 key target groups that you see here. But today we will concentrate, and I will mention more activities related to the two groups for ICT professionals and labor force. We can go to the next slide. We have mentioned how important it is to have, statistics that are representative also of the situation. And you may know the Digital Economy and Society Index that the Commission is publishing every year, which is a composite index which allows to track, in fact, the digital development of member states in 5 different dimensions. And one of those is the human capital. So today I selected one indicator. So this is only one dimension to show you what is the situation of the ICT specialists in the EU. And we see that on the total employment, the ICT specialists represent only 3.9% of the total employment. And you see, I put below the definition used by Eurostat for making this statistic. Is a broad definition of ICT specialists. It includes jobs like ICT service managers, ICT professional, technician, installers, and servicers. I think it's evident, and we see that it's difficult to have a definition that covers everything, and the definition also evolve like the trainings evolve. So, of course, this is a snapshot. It shows the situation I think in 2019, so it's DAISY 2020, but the data are from 2019. But anyway, I think it helps see that we really have a shortage of ICT specialists, and also on the labor market. And there is a survey that was done also through Eurostat that shows that 64% of large enterprises and 56% of SMEs have difficulties when they were trying to recruit ICT specialists. They had difficulties to fill in the vacancies. So we see that is quite important. So now I want to go to the next slides and to mention, of course, the European strategy for data, as Arthur mentioned. This has been published in February together with a white paper on AI by the Commission. And today I'm not going to develop the goals of the strategy, but I highlighted the skills needs. I think it's really impressive to see that in 2017, it was almost 500,000 of unfilled positions across Europe in the area of big data. Even if it's a buzzword, I think it says something. If we have almost 500,000 of positions unfulfilled, we really have, to work on the digital talent pool in Europe to be able to to make use of this opportunity through the data economy. So we have challenges, of course, and we have seen also with the former speaker that this is also about general data literacy in the workforce. So we need also this level to be able to use the data across economy and society. Just one word that I didn't mention here, but the estimation of the data economy for 2025, we estimate that it will represent 5.8% of the EU GDP. And in 2018, it was 2.4. So the capacity to grow is more than 2.5 by 2025. So in 5 years' time. And of course, this is why, the digital skills strategy is at the core of the Commission policy for digital economy and society. We can go to the next slide. And this is why, in fact, you may have heard about the Digital Europe program, the new program proposed by the Commission. We still need to negotiate the budget on that. We proposed it with a full budget of 9.2 billion. The Commission proposed it. And this program really aims at increasing and supporting not only the competitiveness of Europe, but the strategic digital capacity of Europe. And this is why we wanted to have a pillar on advanced digital skills. Because, okay, I don't need to convince you, you know better than me that if we don't have a sufficient number of skilled people to develop and to roll out the advanced technologies and to use these technologies, we are not going to be able to advance and to make the best use of all these technologies. Maybe here I just want to mention that the definition in the depth of advanced digital skills is in fact special skills such as skills for designing, developing, managing and deploying technologies such as HPC, AI, cyber, of course, and data, of course. So you see also that we have a very large definition, and really the objective of the program is the rollout and the development of the technologies in all sectors of the economy. We can pass to the next slides. having said that, we also mentioned how difficult it is to appreciate what is the skills need and what are the needs in the real economy. So end of July, we published the first quantitative overview of the need from AI and data in European companies. So this is indeed a quantitative survey that was done, I think, to about 10,000 enterprises across Europe. So it's, of course, it has the limit, but it shows an interesting thing is that 40, and you can see, you can see on the study all the details about the technologies that were presented to the people, but it sees that 42% of European companies use at least one AI technology. But of course, there it's not equal, and the large enterprises are using them twice more than small enterprises. This is really where we also want to work, is to allow SMEs to be able to also benefit from all these advanced technologies. And we see also that only 20% develop the AI and data strategy in-house. Largely they outsourced, and this is certainly due to the skills gap. And we see that also that 57% again cite difficulties to hire skilled staff, and also just 45% said they have a lack of skills. And this is where I think this was I'm completely support what the other speakers said about the need not only to have very high top-notch scientists and maybe have with a PhD scientist, but we also need to have people that are capable of translating into business opportunities what all these advanced technologies can do really for business. We can go to the next slides. I wanted to show you also this because I think it's apart from the quantitative overview that we had, we also did in October 2019 together with Informatics Europe workshops to identify, what would be the need to bridge the digital talent gap. And here, I mean, I don't say anything new. You really see, in fact, also the resume of what the former speaker said, is that we need absolutely to work together, to put together all the forces, to have industry-university partnerships. When we talk about revising the university curricula, when we talk about requiring specialized curricula that can apprehend different sectors of the economy, what are the needs in different sectors of the economy with these very advanced skills. So I think this was this workshop, if you want, and this quantitative overview are also feeding our reflection on how to implement the pillar advanced digital skills in the depth program. And there I can only, encourage you to monitor and to look at what will come, because the idea is really that we will launch call for setting up advanced master courses in different technology and skills. So AI, data, of course, and it can be also cybersecurity. So as of the beginning of 2021, when the program will be launched, of course, first the budget should be voted, but we will have also possibilities to set up programs dedicated to bridging the digital talent gap in these very advanced digital skills. I'm going to almost finish. I want to show you in the next slides one more study, because I think we mentioned also, this is very important not to forget the small enterprises and the SMEs. And in 2018, we launched a pilot project to set up blueprints for training programs for the employees of the SMEs and also for non-employed people in digital skills. And before setting up this pilot, there were an analysis that were done on 74,000 LinkedIn posts to compare vacancies and the time to fill these vacancies over a period of 3 months. And you see, I hope you see on this graph on the right, that the hardest to fill, the hardest were the software engineering, and in third position also data science. So I think it's obvious that all these very advanced technologies are also more and more used by small businesses because they are also more accessible. And this is why we really have, you know, a duty to find a way to train a maximum of people in the economy and the society to really make use of these advanced skills. Just one point you see there that one of the finding of the survey was that the big data courses offered are more than twice more expensive than others courses such as AI or courses for AI or courses for IoT. So this is maybe something also to reflect on. Maybe less people will take these courses, especially you know, if people are in employment and they want to develop the reskilling in these technologies. They might be a bit reluctant if the training courses are more expensive. So, but this was just you know, a finding of the study. And I will conclude with the next slides to come back, in fact, on the coalition activities and tell you that one of the really core activity of the coalition is to encourage all organizations that can participate and join the effort and offer being trainings, being awareness raising activities, to, you know, to join and to offer that. So up to now, among the 500 members we have, already almost 150 offered you know, traineeship or awareness raising activities, certification. As you see here, we have 25 pledges that are focused on certification of skills training. 81 are aimed at SMEs. And altogether, we can say, so since 2016, altogether, we can say that all these activities allowed to reach up to 12 billion beneficiaries. What I mean is that, you know, some platforms were offering online training courses. For, of course, that means, you know, you can reach far more people. That is, it's not all face-to-face trainings, but this is also, you know, a good opportunity to reach a lot of people that could not go for a take-up, you know, for upskilling or reskilling online. They can now, of course, have access also to these digital training courses. So also among the pledges, 7 were focusing on big data. And we have, of course, organizations such as BDVA that are already members of the coalition. And I encourage also all of you to go on the pledge viewer and to look what we mean by pledging and what are the activities that other pledges offered, and to see also if you can contribute to this effort. I would say also, if you ask me why you should participate, I would say also it's a way to discover eventually potential partners also for you, or, you know, other organizations that are maybe working on the same topic as you, and that could be interesting for future collaboration. And this is my conclusion here. I thank you very much for listening to the presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Christine. Just on time. Okay, I'll just launch one poll before the last one. By the time the presenter has been switched to Anna, who is going to moderate us the last part of our discussion. So here is the poll. So how likely is that you recommend to others to recruit certified professionals in this domain? That is another way of looking at how people perceive the importance of certification. So a number of participants have already, 31% of them have voted. So very likely is 25%, surprising, but likely, likely 60%. So within 20 seconds, I will close the vote. Now we are at 38% voted, and then hand it over to Ana Moreno Sanchez. 46% voted. So we have got still 8 seconds, because I made it shorter just to gain more time. And then close the poll. I think we don't need to go more. We're almost at 50%. I close the poll and share the results with you. So you see the answer to this is likely 67%. Okay, 33%. Very likely. So then I will hand it over to Ana Moreno, who is going to moderate. Ana Moreno is a professor at Universidad de Politécnica de Madrid. So please, Ana, take over the platform to steer the next discussion before the last conclusion.
Thank you, Mulune. Can you hear me properly? Yeah. Okay, great.
Yes.
So thank you to all the panelists for these presentations. They have been really interesting and motivating. And I think that we have been able to see different complementary views about the need to train in digital skills, in particular in data, big data, data scientists. We have been able to also identify which are the main challenges for this process. Well, we can discuss a little bit more about them, but first of all, as we are running almost out of time, I would like to see if there is any question from the attendees to the participants, to the panelists.
Not in the questions part.
Okay, they are not in the question. Remember that you can also raise your hands if you want. Let me see, because it seems okay. So just let me discuss a little bit one thing that has been mentioned by all the participants, that is the need for standardization and the need for collaboration between the different stakeholders that are participating in this process. I would like to take back one of the issues that Davide mentioned, that this, I think that is a classical discussion between the academia and the business world about the content of the curricula, about the content of this knowledge, or which is the knowledge that data scientists should have. Davide discussed or mentioned about the need of formal training, for example, in statistics and so on. So, Rocco, are you there? Can you hear me? So, would you like to say something, because Davide explicitly referred to your talk, so it would be nice to have your view in this issue, because I think that you mentioned that organizations and companies need to have a very important role in this part. So the thing is, how can we combine, how can we reach an agreement that is both useful for universities and for industry and the different participants in these training programs that, as mentioned, they may not be poor scientists or with a very mathematical background. So how can we go in deep in this collaboration and reach an agreement according to your view?
Rocco, are you there?
I don't know.
He's normally there, but he's muted, I think.
He's muted. Let me see. Rocco, are you? Let me see if I can. Well, if Rocco is not available, if there is any other of the panelists that would like to.
Yeah, maybe Anna, I can elaborate a bit on this, because we were actually chatting. I was chatting with Rocco on this.
Okay, great, thanks.
And I have a personal anecdote on this. I was a very young professor assistant at the University of Ferrara, and once the full professor was in charge of the course of statistics and data analysis called me, and he said, hey, the students have come up to me saying that for the first time in their lives they've understood hypothesis testing, and thanks to your lectures. And I realized that because this professor was absolutely more knowledgeable and experienced than me. He was full professor, but very simply, he was not speaking an understandable language. I remember the quote by Goethe. Goethe said that mathematicians are Frenchmen. They translate everything into their own language so that nobody else understands them. And it's a bit xenophobic, but it is true in the sense that the lay people do not understand mathematical formalism. So there is actually a gap between real-world applications and the theory behind them. So I would like to turn this gap into a continuum, as I call it. So in my opinion, it should be easier to turn scientists into business analysts than the opposite. That's my point of view. Okay, so and this is to reply to Rocco. If we want to do the opposite, to take business people and give them the scientific and statistical knowledge which is required to do even basic statistical analysis like statistical inference, it will take a while, and we'll need to use the right language, okay, without insisting too much on formalism. So unfortunately, on the academic side, at least, and this is, I think, typical of Italy. Our courses, especially back then when I was at university, were way too ambitious, especially for the undergraduates, way too ambitious. So it is very important that we will be able to find the proper trade-off, okay? I don't think that anybody deserves a certification. They should be able to demonstrate the acquired scientific skills to analyze data properly. But at the same time, we cannot think that like a person with a background maybe in especially, I don't know, you know, humanities, jurisprudence, political sciences, maybe economics a bit more, but that they can quickly and easily acquire the necessary mathematical expertise. And I think that at least and that was especially true here in Italy in the past, academicians didn't do a good job in trying to communicate science, okay? So there was on the one side popular science, which is probably not enough to train professionals, and on the other side there was there were the typical academic books which could be read, which were written in a very esoteric language. So, and these are I think the obstacles we are facing now, because now I think most of us agree that everyone should have the basic skill to understand, analyze data, and get some meaning out of them. So we need to find a different approach, not the traditional one. And I think this is more of a limitation here. I know a bit about the UK because I earned my master's degree there, and but here in Italy, that's certainly the main problem. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Davide. I am sure that it is not only a problem of Italy. I can identify other places where this situation is also repeated. So thank you very much. I think that we are out of time, so I will give the floor to Mulune for the final part of this session. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Anna, if there are some important questions or remarks, we can still allow ourselves 5 minutes more.
Okay. So okay. Is there anybody who wants to?
Yeah, from that perspective, I've got just a small question, because we had been discussing about certification and let us say courses are behind them. I don't know if Rocco is around. He might answer to my question, but I see there are different framework. Yeah, good. So I'm referring to ECF actually. ECF has got a framework where it has got different dimensions and so on. But it is lacking on the perspective of knowledge and the skills. It has not been, is it deliberate, or they find it to be not so important? Because that would be a way to to, let's say, assess the gap between the knowledge and the skills acquired and expected to certify. Can you say a word? ECF
Yeah.
lacking on the knowledge and the skills side.
Yes, knowledge and skills are part of ECF, but as you say, there is a lack of them. They are only quoted and reported as examples, and this is something that is connected with feasibility. So there is not a deliberate will of taking them out, but the idea is having a high-level competence that is not necessary to update every year. When you go to skills and knowledge, you realize very soon that the complexity explodes. So the decision was to include some knowledge and skills, but as examples. This is called Dimension 4 of ECF, and to leave to the organization that use ECF the task to identify knowledge and skills. So the idea is we need a standard. Let's try to have at least a very high level standard where everybody agrees. If we go to knowledge and skills, the risk is that complexity explodes. It's not manageable anymore, and it's more difficult to have this kind of agreement than is needed. So you're right, there is a lack, but I think it cannot make in a different way unless we take some specific drill down of ECF, and that's why we should combine ECF with specific domain. Data scientists, there is a good exercise in cybersecurity. So the general ECF is very high level. When you go to specific domain, specific subdomain, then you can fill the gap, as you say. I don't know if this was the answer of your question, but this is my knowledge so far.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I was trying to make a comparison with a nice framework and others, and I felt that there is that gap. I don't know what the solution would be for the future. Otherwise, we'll have to depend on other frameworks for that purpose. Okay, thank you, Rocco.
Thank you. I think there was another question for Christine.
Yes, actually, I wanted to continue the discussion of the former intervenant about indeed the business translators or the translators. You know, not that I'm French and that I'm shocked about Goethe, but what I want to say is that I fully understand that we will never train in a short-term training people to be mathematicians. That is for sure not. But it's obvious that, you know, we cannot let companies and entrepreneurs in the ignorance, if I want to say like that. It's a bit too much, but, you know, we could train people to be I saw in a study an expression to be AI business translators. And I like this expression, and it goes, you know, it's like reasoning to what you said before. We should give access to the tech and you know, people could put existing deep learning algorithm to practical commercial use if they have at least the basic knowledge of what they can do with this. And so that's why I think this is also why I was talking about these partnerships, and you see also that we worked on different angles. We need to extend the digital talent pool in Europe with no doubt and have the best scientists, but we also really need to give access to people that are not these top-notch researchers, but give access to the technologies for them to be able to just decide and, you know, take business strategic decision to roll out a new technology in the business. I think this study on the AI and businesses shows really that when you don't know anything about the capacity or the possibilities you can do with with data, deep learning, AI, and so on, including cybersecurity. By the way, if we talk about IoT, this is very important. So we need also to not to neglect this aspect. And there, indeed, the partnership industry university can really benefit, can be a benefit to identify, if you want, different stage of specialized skills that people should get. This is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay.
Christine,
Thank
if I may, I have another question for you. I don't know who have time. It's a bit off topic, but it's related to what you mentioned about these difficulties in hiring people with the right skills, especially big data, but also AI and other aspects. I know that because I work in a company, and sometimes we have these troubles or finding the right people for the right projects. Especially, you are talking also about people with the skills on research on these technologies, which is even worse in some cases. But at the same time, you know that in the different countries in Europe, there are also differences in salaries, and not only in the skill, but also in salaries. So it means that in some countries it's even more difficult to retain the people because the salaries are higher in other countries. So this may even create a bigger gap between different countries in the European Union. I don't know if you are also taking this into account related to skills.
Yes, I think it's obviously an issue, and you have seen the statistic we showed on DAISY can also explain partly that maybe the countries that have the most ICT specialists in employment are the countries maybe that are also, the most interesting for them to work there. And this is, if you want, we don't directly address it in terms of salaries, but the idea of the Digital Europe programs is also to give access to the infrastructures for these people to be trained and I don't know if you know the concept of digital innovation hubs, which are also, this idea that if we put together industry and the research center to work together, we also make more, circulation of knowledge, if I want to say so, and the more people will be trained, and the less difficult, in a way, this issue will come, because I think now the question of the salary is indeed making the difference. You can. If you want to hire someone, you need to really search everywhere in Europe to find this person. The more the digital talent pool in Europe will be big, and you can have more also opportunities to find the people. But in terms of salaries, of course, this is the market that is, the regulator, if I can say so here. We cannot. We can support through Digital Innovation Hub, for example. We can encourage companies to approach these technologies by partnership with Digital Innovation Hub, where in fact the access to the innovation process would not be directly a burden on the company. But then, of course, on the question of the salaries, we cannot really intervene on that.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
You conclude?
Yeah, just thanks again to all the panelists in this part of the session, and also thank you to the attendees that have been listening all the talks. So, Brune, I give you the floor for the last part.
Okay, thank you, Anna. So I will just launch the last poll. I hope you will not be fed up with it, and then pass it over to Fabio, which Anna can do, I think. Here is the last poll. So what would the SMART certification? So Nick had mentioned a bit, but normally in all other certification, there is a so-called SMART certification, bring to the existing way of accreditation. So if you can please vote on this. So it is it's a way of like the online one that that can be used on social media and others, and it can be also verified and checked and persistent online. So that's the idea behind it. So I will give you 15 seconds. 25% have voted, and yeah, encourage you to vote. So the number of participants is increasing a bit in terms of percentage, because maybe you are getting tired. It will be shortly at lunchtime. We'll finish also. Fabio will be able to make a concluding remark. If there are any questions that can pop up, we can still have give ourselves let's say 10 minutes to discuss, if at all. If not, then after Fabio's remarks, we will conclude. So I will stop here. 33% voted. So the tendency, I'll close and share with you the results. So as you might see, usable in any circumstances, including social media, is 75%. Easy control of validity. I think that one is what is expected. Essential role against fraud also. So these are the results. Now I will pass you over to Fabio. Fabio is the head of external collaboration at EIT Digital. He will make us a concluding remark of the workshop. If nobody raises its hand in questions related to our workshop and the follow-up and so on, and then we'll finish it with it. Fabio, the floor is for you.
Thanks a lot, Mulune. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so I'm between you and the well-deserved lunch, and so I won't take you much time. My objective here is just to stress the importance that for EIT Digital the topic of certification has, especially in connection with professional courses, with the approach of training professionals already at work or in between a job, in the transition to new jobs, etc. I had much discussion about the content, how to determine the content of courses, especially to be given to people in the industry or workforce at different places. This is a very important topic, of course, and I fully agree with Christine that an approach like the one which is fostered by the Digital Innovation Hubs might at least be a way to start approaching a better integration between the knowledge which is contained at the research centers and universities and the needs of the business. At the same time, people in business, and in particular the employees need valid certification schema framework in order to have better guarantees concerning the outcome of the courses, and also being capable of using them in order to better drive their careers. Within EIT Digital, we are very much involved in this in this endeavor from both sides of it. So producing, designing, and delivering courses for professionals on various topics. Of course, we are EIT Digital, so topics are within the digital domain, including the data science. And we are now very much engaged, and Mulune is one of the persons driving this effort, also on the determination of the certification schema for those courses. I will have a look, and we will, as a EIT Digital, we will have a look and consider carefully the outcome of this workshop. not only in this domain, you see the effort here within the data science, but we are pursuing a similar effort within cybersecurity. We are trying to identify together with the industries the different profiles for cybersecurities and data scientists in the industries, so that then we can better address not only the determination of the content of data, that better addressing the needs of these professional profiles, but also how to then set up the relevant certification schema for those. So in our approach, content determination, certification, and content of certifications are located on a continuum, which is very much the same between moving from the knowledge which is contained in research centers and universities towards the academia and towards the business. Not only therefore content determination, but also certification must be affected by this transition. Thanks to all of you for your participation and for your very, very valuable input, which we will for sure take into the highest considerations for us to plan the next steps towards providing a certification scheme for the big data specialists in industries. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Fabio. I think we have successfully almost on time, even though we had some delays. I think, Thomas, if you have got the last word, we can conclude. But in any case, I want to pass my very highest regards and thanks to Ernestina, who was very supportive right from the beginning. And I want to thank once again Thomas as well for the support in all the dimensions. Thank you very much. Thomas, if you don't have any last word, then we'll conclude.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to add. You know that all the recordings and slides and everything will be uploaded to the BDV website. I copied in the chat for all of you the address, but you don't need to write it down, because tomorrow you will receive an automatic email from the tool, from GoToWebinar, just stating the place where you should go to find the slides. It may take a couple of days to upload everything, because we need to edit the video and so on, but you will have it for sure next Monday if you would like to use them. So from my side, yeah, I would like to thank everybody, especially the presenters today, and Brune for organizing everything, and the moderators, and yeah, thank you very much to everybody for attending, because it was a long webinar. I know that some people had to come and go, because it's very difficult to find 3 hours in a row to attend to this type of meetings, but nevertheless, I think we had a very good audience, so thank you very much to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.